You're probably wondering what social media and business intelligence is all about. Recently, I had the opportunity to sit down with three experts, Donald Farmer, Sean Rogers, and John Myers, to discuss how you can take advantage of the opportunity. That's next on BizIntelligence.tv.
Hi, I'm John Myers. I'm the founding principal of the Blue Buffalo Group, a telecommunications analysis firm specializing in revenue assurance and business process management for the telecommunications industry.
I'm Sean Rogers, Vice President of Research for Enterprise Management Associates. We're an advisory firm that helps both vendors and users with business intelligence and data warehousing solutions.
I'm Donald Farmer, and I work in the Microsoft SQL Server Business Intelligence Management team. And nobody quite knows what I do in that team, but I do a hell of a lot of it.
So CIOs are wondering what social media is about. Often it just looks like a lot of traffic and there's very little valuable information that they can use, especially for business intelligence types of scenarios. Sean, what's your experience on how people should think about social media and business intelligence?
And I got to tell you, it's one of the hottest questions I get asked right now. And I'm very active socially, online through Twitter and all the other avenues that you would kind of expect an analyst to be. So I get a lot of questions from CIOs going, you get any business value from that, or what should we be doing around social media? And I really think there's two things that CIOs need to be concerned about right now with regards to social in general around their brands, around their enterprise. There's two tracks. One is it's an incredibly valuable content source or data source. And if you're not thinking about bringing this type of data into your business decisioning, I think you're missing a great opportunity. Right now, only about 14% of CIOs are actively chasing these types of projects, but the number is expected to rise an awful lot over the next couple of years. So the early adopters are already there. They're bringing in this outside data source into their applications, into their BI ecosystem, and they're getting great value from it. The other side of social that's finding its way into the enterprise is in the application or the BI side of it, where they're enabling collaboration, social media sort of context around the BI systems themselves. They're building platforms into these solutions now that actually allow you and I to share reports, to give check marks to the ones we think are the best in our system, so that you know which ones I like to use, I know which ones you like to use. There's ways for us to take that even farther and actually IM each other directly and chat real quick, or share a fork in a decision we might be making and bring in Donald at the same time and ask him for his input. All of these things are kind of happening, and it's adding and supercharging what's happening around the BI ecosystem within the enterprise.
Or even the decision-making process
absolutely,
itself, because it accelerates this ability to collaborate with people, find the people that might be champions or knowledgeable about a particular subject, and information you would not find anywhere else anyway.
Exactly, and there's companies out there that are doing really exciting things. I'll give you an example. Project management is sort of this interesting area, right? You've got this huge project, you've got project management software, you're trying to track whether or not you're going to hit a deadline or not. Everybody in the team isn't always as honest as they might want to be about where things are at. So I ran into a company that's doing some really interesting things where they're offering a collaborative system and a voting kind of system for a way for you to be sort of anonymous in your input originally, but giving you this platform to say, look, I think it's probably 60% chance of hitting the deadline on Friday. And if you're accurate, you get moved up in the group as being someone who really has a handle on their business and for understanding where these processes are at. And at the same time, the executive suite, we're getting back the feedback that we want that's more accurate and truthful about where projects are at. And it's sort of an interesting twist on everybody being social, everybody being collaborative, and being able to voice an opinion without any penalty. And as a matter of fact, this particular solution I saw rewards the people who are the most accurate about their thoughts around projects. And it's just an interesting way to help move things forward.
So I think it's a great way as well for CIOs to think specifically, how could I use the social data to help my employees make better decisions, but also be better informed as an executive. Now there's always the risk of course, aggregating more and too much information. So how do you think about it, especially in telco where customer support and customer service will rely a lot on the social media information?
Yeah, when I look at social media data collection, I think we could look back at the kind of the Pareto principle or the 80-20 rule. 20% of the value out there, or the data out there, is going to give us 80% of the value, because there's a lot of mentions, or a lot, if you're going to generate from a keyword search or some type of text analytics, bringing the information in, you're going to pull in a lot of stuff that just relates to venting, or just kind of reasonable things. But if you're talking about customer care and you have an issue directly there, you're probably only going to find 20% of that social media data talks directly to someone having an issue, someone having an exemplary experience with their information or their data. So I think CIOs need to be mindful that of all the information they're going to pull in, there's going to be a relatively small amount of it that's really going to give any one application or one group of analysis the value that they're looking for, but you never know where that 20% is going to come in. So you kind of have to be aware, let's pull it in, let's maybe put some aging on it to make sure that the stuff we've identified is valuable, maybe let's store that for a longer period of time. The stuff that we don't have, let's store it for a less amount of time. But getting back to what Sean was talking about in terms of applications being social, I think that BI applications really need to start embracing social types of activities, because the analysts who are coming up are being steeped in that. They want to be able to say, why can't I just send this from point A to point B? I think that security offices are going to be, to a certain extent, going nuts, going, how do we make sure that we have this, to have that audit trail of information to say, if we're going to start passing around sensitive corporate information through a social network, how do we track it? How do we make sure it doesn't jump out? So I think that it's going to be really important for BI applications to embrace social, maybe not necessarily bolt it onto the side, but to embrace it as part of their overall strategy to say, can we track lineage of data? Can we help with these development aspects? And can we have a security model that will make our security folks comfortable, but allow an environment that our new age of social media analysts are going to be able to say, these are the things that we need so we can do our jobs effectively.
So there are 2 or 3 opportunities. Really here is the specificity of a project where you're able to accelerate collaborative decision making in social media, and being able to track trends will be helpful. There's also more of a compliance issue where you have to think about it in terms of not circulating sensitive information and being aware of it.
And I think the chief security officers need to be
involved.
They need to be mindful that the old way of doing business, they need to give a little so that you can get that value associated with the social media types of analysis that you can get.
So on one end, clearly the thing to watch out for CIOs is you have to bring in the data. It's potentially going to create a large amount of data, but I think what is helpful is the specificity of how you're going to use that data. Donald, I know that we have communities that use social media across organizations, and I think Microsoft also is using social media. You want to explain how you think about it in BI?
Yeah, sure. And in fact, John made a really good point about the small amount of data, maybe the 20% of data that is directly related to exemplary or bad experiences. So there's a small amount which you can tie up and say, this is a specific incident which caused customer satisfaction or dissatisfaction. But one of the other things you can do with social media channels is, in addition to identifying those specific actionable events, you can also look for people who are consistently positive about the relationship to your company, or for that matter, consistently negative. They may be kind of opponents or trolls or something like that. But within Microsoft, what we look for is people who are consistently positive within community channels, either on blogs, on Twitter, on Facebook, that sort of thing. And by finding those champions for our products, we create what we call an MVP, a most valuable professional. And we use social media analysis, we use BI over social media in order to identify some of these people as potential candidate MVPs. And then we can kind of track them over time and see, is this just a case of somebody who is positive because they've had one good experience, or this is somebody who's actually consistently positive about their experience with Microsoft? And that's a great thing to be able to do. So we do that internally, and we know lots of other companies are doing that. We know airlines are doing that. We know coffee companies are doing this. They're looking to discover those champions, and in some cases they're looking for the consistently negative people as well, who they may want to kind of handle in a different way, and maybe try and win over to their side or specifically target for some corporate love.
And so I think the key here is not just to think it's for a customer service scenario only, or it's for teenagers that are just communicating. There's actually real business use of this technology. Thank you very much, guys, for taking the time. Until next time, I'm Bruno Aziza.